How's that? Is that better? She said, I didn't know your dad's
Wave there. No. Wave
At this time, we would welcome you to the Brazos County Board of Education regular meeting for June 16th, 2022. Before we begin our meeting, we would like to have a moment of silence to remember those who tragically lost their lives in the Uvalde, Texas shooting. So if we will just have a moment of silence, please. Thank you. Before we start our meeting, I would just like to recognize some elected officials that we have with us. We've got State Representative Dan Howe, who will be giving a presentation later on in the evening. We've got Commissioner, who I think has slipped out, Tom Cry, and Cindy Slater was also here with us. We've got Commissioner, oh, she is here. We have Commissioner Marlon Blake and Commissioner-elect Denny Collins. So thank you all for being here. We're going to have our invocation by Mr. Nolan Phillips, who is the adult senior care pastor at Westwood, followed by the pledge of the flag to be led by Dr. Jeff Lovingood.
Thank you for the opportunity to share this time with you and for your service to our community. And I would like to ask that you join me in prayer that God would bless that which takes place here today. Heavenly Father, we bow before your presence today, aware of the gift that you have given us in the lives of these precious children that are in our homes, our families, and in our community. Such a treasure you have given us and a responsibility. It touches our hearts with love and with thanksgiving. We recognize also, Father, that there are those who are there who give them care, those who look after them and protect them and teach them and lead them in preparation for a full and meaningful life. And we pray for them today. As we stand before you, we invite your Holy Spirit to fill our hearts with your wisdom, with your understanding and guidance, so that we can see things as teachers, parents, and leaders and servants of the community, that we may see things the way you see them and respond to them in the way that would be pleasing to you. We know, Lord, in the scheme of things in life, that in the certainty of your plan, as you've said in your word, you are the one who places us in places of leadership, in places of service and ministry. And so, Father, for that we thank you and pray that each of us will be faithful to exercise the wisdom and understanding and knowledge that you've given us in a way that will bring honor to your name and joy to the hearts of parents and children. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Please. Pledge. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, so the first item on our agenda is the consent agenda. Do we have anyone that would like to pull any items from the consent agenda at this time? If not, do I have a motion to approve the consent agenda?
I'll make a motion to approve.
Second motion.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Are there any discussions on any of the items? If not, all in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes. Okay, the next item on the agenda is persons requesting to address the board. Ms. Griffner, did we have anyone sign up? No. All right. Moving right along. We'll move along to the Director of Schools report by Dr. Linda Cash.
So in the directors, and Miranda, do you have the directors of schools, do you have?
It's in there.
Okay, in there you will have an update that you're looking at, and it is Bradley Central High School. And if you look, we have 228 seniors who graduated with a 3.0 GPA or higher, and 91 seniors graduated with state honors. I want you to notice that the amount of funds that they had was for scholarships, $77,702. Bradley Virtual had 24 seniors graduating with a 3.0, $228,000, and then Walker Valley over $9 million as well. And what's amazing is the total for Bradley County Schools was $18,368,033. That is amazing for what we did. Your next, just a brief with your summer school enrollment. Summer school did start, and you can see we hit our targets with our number of students, and they are at Northleaf, Parkview, and Waterview. And then we have the staff updates, which announces Brittany Cannon as the Director of High, Kyle Page for Property Manager, and Joe Magock as the Principal. And then you have pictures of updates that you're welcome to look at your leisure, tennis courts, and Hopewell, which we'll find out more about. And then new partners with the High update, and you saw all those leases. So you now have 8 that are in leases and 1 under an MOU, and I just wanted y'all to see that, and thank you for Miranda for doing the photos with the updates for y'all. And I am extremely proud of the fact that our kids earn that much money for their education. That is amazing. And just looking at your graduates, Bradley had 365, Virtual had 41, Gold 24, and Walker Valley 352. So we did a lot of great things in May, and I'm sure you remember all those graduations you went to. So very, very happy to say that we are moving forward. We also had summer school at both our middle and high schools, and they're doing well. And virtual school, I'm not sure if she's here, but we also had a lot of students who took extra courses for the summer in virtual school to kind of get ahead. So good work with our schools. Thank you.
All right. The next item on the agenda is the presentation by State Representative Dan Howe. Welcome.
Thank you, Chair Lady Lee, and thank you, board members, for making time for me to make this, I think, very important presentation to some state champions from Bradley Central High School. It's not unusual for the legislature to recognize champions. For example, in 2019, we had the Bradley Barretts won the state championship, and I had them as our guests on the House floor at the legislature, had their coach, and we had a presentation. And that presentation will forever be in the history and the annals of Tennessee history. When I learned about this championship, it's not an athletics championship. You know, we recognize wrestlers, we recognize baseball teams, football teams, all kinds of sports champions. But when I learned about this championship, I thought how appropriate that we recognize 4 champions in academia. And I'm so proud this evening to be able to present these resolutions. Now, they won their championship in April, on April 20th. I would have had them on the House floor in the legislature. Unfortunately, we adjourned on April 27th. So I just didn't have time to get the paperwork done. But I do have it here today. And I would like to recognize, and I'm hoping they're here. They're here. Good. I would like for Janie Moore, Alex Wingard, Emma Sullivan, Amber Flynn, and their teacher, Gwen Sawyer, whom I've known for a long, long time, to come forward. And this is it. Okay. May I read just a portion of what the resolution says? There's one for each of these students, and by the way, there are 2 copies, one for you and one for your proud parents, because they'll keep it forever, you know that. Or you can get donated to your school and they can put it in the trophy case, because it is a state championship proclamation. It says, State of Tennessee Proclamation, whereas it is fitting that we recognize those individuals, talented young people of Tennessee who bring pride and honor to their home state, and whereas for such individuals who recently participated in the 2022 Skills USA Tennessee State Championship on April 20th, 22, and won first place in the AV production competition with their team from Bradley Central High School, claiming the school's 6th consecutive victory. That's outstanding. Congratulations.
Thank you.
I won't read all of this. It's a little lengthy, but ably guided by through the competition by their instructor Gwen, the Bradley Central High School AV production student team creates a 30-minute newscast each weekday. And whereas these students have displayed an aptitude and ambition, and surely bodes well for their future success, and their dedication to excellence is clearly deserving of our respect, admiration, and commendation. Therefore, I, Cameron Sexton, Speaker of the House of Representatives of the 112th General Assembly of the State of Tennessee, at the request of and in conjunction with Representative Dan Howell, do hereby proclaim that we commend and congratulate Emma Sullivan, this is her proclamation, I just read her name, Emma Sullivan of Bradley Central High School on her team's first place finish in the AV production competition at the 2022 Skills USA Tennessee State Championship, signed by Speaker of the House Cameron Sexton, Lieutenant Governor Randy McNally, myself as State Representative, and State Senator Mike Bell, who represents Bradley County. So congratulations, and there's one just like that with each of your name on it, and I would like to present those to you, and we'd like to take a photo if we could. Is that possible? I've got to figure out who this is because I've not met you. Amber, are you Amber? You're Amber. Amber, congratulations. Congratulations. And you're Alex. There you go. Well, I will give these to their instructor, Janie Moore. You can give that, and Emma Sullivan. And Gwen, this one's for you.
Thank you,
It
sir.
recognizes you as the instructor. Could we line up right?
Yes.
Just turn around and face the audience this way. Let's put you in the middle.
Ready?
Stand up if you want to.
Y'all ready?
Okay.
Okay, one. I'm gonna let them stand up behind you.
Yeah.
One,
What,
two.
just a moment. Let's do this. Let's show one. Gotta get it
We'll
right.
take one
Now you
couple
look at the
closer.
face.
Ready? One, two, three. Couple more, guys. One, two, three. I'm gonna get the other board members in here. All right. One, two, three. Thank you, guys.
Thank you. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Thank you, board. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
I want to make sure I do. Okay. And if y'all just stay up here for just a moment, okay?
Yes, we also have another presentation by Mr. Quinn Schroyer for these students as well.
So Mr. Schroyer and the organization have come together to provide all of you with state rings, state championship rings. And I would like to present these tonight for Patrick's Favor. So Emma Sullivan cannot be with us tonight, and Janie Moore cannot be with us, but we have Alex Wingard and Amber Filia and Mr. Gwen Schroyer, who puts forth so many hours of dedication and time with them, as was read in the proclamation. So I want to give these to you. So upon receiving your ring, please take a moment to realize all of the hard work and dedication that brought you to this moment has allowed you to earn this ring. And we are so proud of you, because year after year, you guys go to nationals, and it's not easy. So this ring is a point of pride for you and this team. The ring should be worn on the finger that you were sized, typically your right hand ring finger. Because this championship ring is something to be proud of and honors our school and the tradition of our AV production program, when you put on your ring, the logo should appear upside down to you, so that when you hold out your hand, everyone else will see the logo the way it should be. This is the tradition that is visible to those that you greet, and they'll know exactly which school you're a part of, and you are a Bradley Central Bear. You're a state champion, and we're all so very proud of you all. And so, hold them. And then this one is yours, Alex. And Mr. Schroyer goes by Professor Schroyer to his students. So there we are, Professor Schroyer.
Thank you.
And I'll let you guys put those on, and we'll take one more picture with them on. Do you want to come back up?
Sure. Strong.
Can I get a picture?
If I could figure that out. Yeah.
Wow, that is nice.
Little bling.
Hold it up.
There you go.
You ready?
Ready?
One, two, three. Hey, guys, thank you.
Okay. Represent us well next week.
We also want to thank you, Representative Howe, for all of your, I want people to know that I didn't call up Senator Howe, or Representative Howe, and say, hey, we have these students who won this award. He called me. So that tells us that he's keeping up with what's going on in Bradley County. So we certainly appreciate you being an advocate for us in Nashville and for always going above and beyond to recognize our students when they excel.
Thank you. It's an honor to serve. I love Bradley County, District 22, and I just appreciate all of you because it takes courage to do what you do. You know, it's, in many ways, it's a thankless job, and you'll take a lot of hits on social media, but just do what's right. You know what's right. You know, just learn your politics. Congratulations to Josh and Rachel, by the way. I'm so glad you're here. But if you take time to learn the policy manual, learn what the law is, and then listen to the guidance of the Holy Spirit and talk to Jesus, you'll do what's right. And it makes it easy. So God bless you all, and thank you so much for letting me come.
Thank you.
All right, the next item on our agenda is federal budget amendments. Susan Wilco.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Most of the time when I come before you guys, I'm presenting something that I hope will be important to you or that will explain something to you, but that's not what I'm doing here tonight. I am tonight meeting an audit requirement. And so when you look at this packet, you're not going to be able to tell much about this packet because what they require is that we take all of our federal dollars, which includes probably 20 different grants, and we throw them all into one little pot, and that's what this is. And so that's how audit requires it to be, I guess, presented in that format. But if you need any information, if there is ever anything that you want to know about a specific grant, obviously you know that we're a phone call away and we will get you anything that you need, especially for our new board members, and congratulations. I look forward to working with you guys. But you will find that I have an open door policy, and basically anything that you need, Dr. Cash and I are more than willing to get you. It's just that this is one of those things that audit just requires, and you're used to seeing them. We send these through every year. So this is our budget amendments for federal dollars for the entire year. And we're asking for you to approve that.
Does anyone have any questions for Ms. Wilco? If not, do I have a motion to approve the federal budget amendments?
Make a motion to approve the federal budget.
I'll say.
I have a motion and a second. Are there any discussions? If not, all in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes. The next item is federal budgets. Susan Wilco.
Okay, so what we just talked about was current year amendments through the year. What this next packet is our budget for next year. And many of you may remember that a few years ago, the way that the state works, we have to get our federal dollars approved through the state, and it's what we call E-Plan. So you have to set up a budget in there, and then everything is given to us on a reimbursement basis. So what they do is they take what we budget, and then once we spend it, we send them supporting documentation. They verify that we spend it on what we said we were going to spend it on. And so that's how all that works with our federal dollars. The thing about this is that this does not require approval by the commission. This is the one budget that does not have to go to the commission. So our auditors asked us to pull it out of the regular budget process so that it wasn't getting confused with going through. We were sending it through because they have to have it for their budget book. But because they don't approve it, they ask us to put it before you guys in a separate meeting. So that's why you're getting it tonight instead of last month. So this is our federal budget that we are also asking you to approve.
Do we have any questions? If not, this will need a roll call vote since it has to do with the budget. So, Ms. Greffner, can you call the roll, please?
Yes. Mr. Bryson?
Yes.
Ms. Owens? Yes. Mr. Taylor?
Yes.
Dr. Lovinggood?
Yes.
Chairman Lee?
Yes.
Dr. Cash?
I don't get to
Ms. Beatty?
Yes.
Ms. Casey?
Yes.
That is all in favor and none opposed. do a
No,
motion.
we just voted the
Um,
I make a motion.
Okay, let's do the motion first.
And I second that.
Okay, there we go. Now, Ms. Brevner, will you call the roll again, please?
Yes. Mr. Bryson?
Yes.
Ms. Goins? Yes. Mr. Taylor?
Yes.
Dr. Lovingood?
Yes.
Chairman Lee?
Yes,
Ms. Beatty?
Yes.
Ms. Casey?
Yes.
that's 74, and none opposed, so motion passes. Thank you, Ms. Wilson.
Thank you very much.
All right, the next item on the agenda is the Oakwood Middle School football field house, and, Mr. Jay Wilbeck is going to fill in for Dr. Lindberg.
Yes, thank you very much. My name is Jake Wilcott. I haven't officially met you guys. I have the honor of serving as the athletic director at Ocoee Middle School. And I get to follow my mother, which is, always a tough act to follow. So she's great. The packet that you should have before you, what we were requesting, or come to talk to you tonight to request, is for some renovations for part of our facility that really on the back side of our 8th grade building. Now, for those of you that may be familiar with Ocoee Middle School Bradley Jr., this is the Bears Den, if you guys have ever been there, and it's a part of Bradley Jr. Currently, we use that as our football locker room, our baseball locker room, and also as a weight room for our strength and conditioning classes and any other student athletes that may need to work out there. We have, throughout the years, sort of navigated the temperature fluctuation that is Southeast Tennessee, and with heaters and window AC units and mobile AC units. But after this spring, we had a parent that approached us and our head coach and offered to partner with us to renovate that area, as you see in the notes, with some new windows and one of those, the new mini split HVAC units that you see using a lot of extra spaces. And before we move forward with any of that, we did request a quote to see what that would look like, and you have that as well. We would like to move forward with their donation, and you can see that they are donating all of the labor, which includes the removal of the windows and the installation of the windows in the AC unit. The school's cost would be $9,100, which General Athletics and the football team, we're going to partner together with that to get that taken care of, and just give our kids a nice, cool, warm, safe place that's sustainable throughout the seasons to use for what they enjoy to do. So if you, I know there's a lot of information. Are there any questions that I could answer?
So just to clarify with the board, you're not requesting any money?
We're not requesting any money. No, ma'am. No, I'm just here requesting permission to make improvements to our facility.
And you have worked in conjunction with Chuck McKay?
Yes, ma'am. So we initially, and the Construction from the Ground Up LLC, they actually spoke, I think, to Mr. McKay. I know they spoke to Michael Henry, our maintenance person at Ocoee Middle, and they went through all of the exact units that would be used and the windows. And I know Mr. Henry passed that to Mr. McKay as well, and they approved of what would be used to install, that they were all up to code and would suffice for the use of, to heat and cool that area of the facility.
Does anyone have any questions for Mr. Wilson?
I can remember using that locker room when we first started, when Bradley Junior High was created in the day. Now it's Oakwood.
Yes, sir.
So it's going to be a huge benefit to have that.
Yes, sir. Yeah, thank you.
I just want to say, can you tell From the Ground Up thank you, because that's an
Yes, of
amazing
course.
thing for them to do.
Yes.
And that's absolutely amazing.
Yes, I sure will. I appreciate that. And they're excited to partner with us. You know, we are very blessed. The parents that we serve, they see the things that we're doing in our facilities, and often they come and want to partner with us, and that we're excited about that, to see that happen.
So if you don't have any more questions, do I have a motion to approve?
I'll make a motion to approve of the request.
Second.
All right, I've got a motion and a second. Any more discussions? If not, all in favor, say aye. Aye. Any
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Our next item is Charleston Elementary STEAM Academy outdoor classroom, Mr. Kurt Campbell.
Aiden, thank you. What I want to come to you about is our outdoor classroom. We've been, for the last 2 years, been raising funds for our outdoor classroom. We've got a couple of pictures up here of, this is a Tinkercad that our students and Mr. Womack designed for us. But what it's going to allow us to do is to increase our ability, what we already do inside the classroom, outside the classroom, and just really hit the different learning styles of students and just increase our STEAM initiative. You know, our goal is to be K-12, or K-J, sorry, and then also build a foundation for the middle schools, and then also for the CTE, and then also for the PI Center. And so what this will allow us to do is give us the ability to really build that foundation to help kids dream, and plant those seeds when they get to middle school and to high school. And you should have in your packet, it shows where it'll be, it explains where it'll be. It'll be on the northeast side, outside the football field. I did have some questions with the folks that you're not gonna put it on the football field. I said, no, I'm not. So it'll be on the outside of the football field, of the fence. The total cost is $42,336. I did get $9,600 for concrete for capital, through capital outlay. And so then our parents, students, and community have raised $32,736 over the last year and a half. Yeah, so I think that's, you know, we told them up front that's what we're raising it for, and I think that's just a testament of how much our community wants this. But I'm just coming to you today to ask for approval for that, but what you have going around, it is green. Our building will not be green. But that is a 3D design that Mr. Womack and a couple of our fourth grade students, that they actually designed that themselves. And so it just shows where students can do at the elementary level.
Mr. Campbell, I'm so proud of y'all for raising the money and for the board contributing. But I really wanted to request, because this is a pretty high number, did you get your bids and everything?
I did, yes ma'am.
Okay.
Yeah, we got 3 bids, and so this was the lowest bid. Wright Brothers is doing the concrete for us, and they are being very generous with the amount, what the concrete is. And so we could have gone with a different concrete company, but the fibers that are within the concrete would have been not as strong. They felt like that it needed to be a little bit stronger of concrete for what the structure's going to be holding. So, and we did have, there is another family that's the Dillard family. I don't think they're going to mention their name, but that are very generous, and they're doing building pretty much at cost for what, so, yeah.
And then just one more
Go ahead.
question.
Yeah.
You may have said it already, but do you have a timeline?
So since the concrete pad was in capital outlay, it's already down, and so then speaking with the Dillard family, this is something we'd like to have done by the start of school next year.
Okay.
So,
Okay.
yeah.
That's amazing.
Yes.
Nice work.
Yeah, thank
You
you.
also worked with,
Chuck, yes, I have. I've talked to Chuck, and we've got one water line that'll be coming in. And so I worked with his plumber, and so we've looked. I've already talked with 811, and they come out and mark. There's nothing underground, and so we're good to go. And there's a direct water line that we can tie into. That's something that Chuck and I talked about. Or not water line, but water meter, so we don't have to have an additional water meter, which would be an additional cost. We can just tie straight in.
Yeah, please don't mess with water.
We're not. Yeah, we know. So,
one of the
yeah.
reasons why we asked, did you talk to Chuck?
I did. Me and Chuck have talked, so we like each other. So.
Does anyone else have any questions?
I did have one question.
Yes.
Approximately how many students use this? Is this something the entire school uses, or?
It will be.
select group?
Yes, it'll be the whole school, what can use it. And so it'll be able to seat, depending on what types of tables we put in there, it'll be able to seat between 25 to 30. But we're looking at tables that we can raise up, raise down, that are maneuverable. Really won't have any chairs out there. We might put a couple of picnic tables just for folks, just every once in a while. But really want this to be something that's used. And so it's from kindergarten to 5th grade. So, yeah. I guess the only other thing that additional is we moved our outdoor classroom, and so you see the water barrels on the backside, wanting to make this as sustainable as we can. And so we're wanting to you don't see it on here, but it will have gutters on the side. And so we're gonna have the water going out down into the rain barrels, and then we'll be able to water that as much as we can. And then we'll write a grant for some solar panels, so hopefully we'll have some solar fans in there that'll be fully sustainable.
So just one more question.
Go ahead.
So it's gonna be an open,
Yes,
so.
yeah.
So how will you see, will there be any, I guess, you said there aren't gonna be chairs, but any school-owned property, how would that be secured?
So if you'll,
Not in session?
as far as the tables, that's a good question on the tables. I thought about the tables, but as far as other equipment that we'll use, we've got a 10-by-10 building that's in the structure, and so we're gonna have a metal roll-down, roll-up door, which that's a lot more, as far as a little bit better security. It's hard to get a metal door up down when you've got, master locks on the bottom side.
That's within the fenced-in football field.
Yes, correct.
I think that's what you're.
Yeah, and I've already installed a camera that would point to any access that you'd be able to get in or get out to. So, yeah.
Any more questions?
I just want to make a comment. I don't know about the other school members, because I've yet to really get to know them, but I get excited when I see students, parents, and teachers wanting to donate and just be a part of giving. It's absolutely amazing.
Yeah.
It just makes me very excited to be a part of the school board member and what the community wants to do for our kids.
Yeah, I'm excited for them, and I'm thankful for them too. So this is a great group of folks up there.
You know, I'm excited about it because you got an A.
That's right, for that art. Hey, the concrete will not stay pretty, exactly. So,
Not just a STEM, you are a STEM.
that's right, so.
All right, do I have a motion to approve the Charleston Elementary STEAM Academy outdoor classroom?
I make a motion to approve the outdoor classroom at Charleston Elementary. And I'll second it.
Got a motion and a second. Any more discussions? If not, all in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes.
Thank you.
I digress just a minute. Mr. Womack, was he on TV the other day on the pay forward?
I don't know.
I
He
thought I
didn't,
saw him on there and they were awarding him money pay forward. I don't know.
he didn't tell me if he did, but he doesn't like to, he did not want me to say his name, but he needed to be mentioned because it's, yeah. So, but I'll ask him. Thank you.
All right, the next item is a high update by Mr. Kyle Page and Corbett Drew.
Good evening. The short update is everything is progressing. We've got our certificate of occupancy on the majority of the north building. We are a week and a half away from punch listing the conclave and getting our CO on that. And we have our first event scheduled, I believe, in August 11th. Yep, August 11th. So cheers to that. And core is progressing extremely well in light of the market these days and supply chain and everything. Core inside and outside is progressing really well. We've put down the majority of the first layer of asphalt and prepped the east side parking lot. We're poised to finish all of the paving and put the final lifts, I think late July, just before the school year starts. We'll want to get all the heavy equipment out before we start putting the final asphalt down. But things are progressing well. No change order for you tonight. So cheers to that. And no change order last. We're two months in a row.
2 meetings in a row.
And Kyle can give you saw on the consent agenda a number of leases that have been signed. At this point, we have 226,000 square feet committed. That's 87% of the building. So we're at 87% occupancy, and we have a number of others that are finalized or that are in the final throes at this point. So between the ones that you saw on the consent agenda and the handful that are still being ironed out, we are at 87% committed, 87% occupied.
I do want to make note, the August 11th event is actually an event with one of our tenants. So that's not like the big grand opening or anything on the school system. And one of our tenants is having a global hosting of manufacturers. Smart Factory Institute, who launched their opening at the Pi Center, is in partnership with the Chamber of Commerce, and they're hosting manufacturers from literally around the globe. They expect 300 to 500 different manufacturers from around the globe to be
coming into Cleveland and seeing how we're going to be doing business moving forward in the manufacturing world. So it's very exciting to have that opportunity in partnership with Smart Factory. So I didn't want just anybody kind of like, hey, what's going on? It is a scheduled event that they're hosting. But we will be having the main events coming, grand opening. We're still looking at a target. Timeline hasn't changed as far as schedule. I'm thinking mid-October, late October. We will be looking to put that stuff on the calendar and getting everybody, so many from commission level to school board level to state level, the amount of involvement, and it has really, in the grand scheme of things, stayed very, very targeted on what our goal was for our students in Bradley County and this region. So we're excited. Mr. Bryson, yes, sir.
Everybody wants it finished.
Yes.
But I do appreciate both you want it finished right.
Yes.
And with all we've been through with all this supply chain or whatever it is, it's unbelievable. And I appreciate your effort to get it.
Yes.
To get it done. I mean, the public does want it, and I want it.
Yes, we all do.
That's in my district. I'm glad to get it, but I'm glad that y'all being conscientious to do it right.
Yes, and I will tell you, the job TU Parks is doing, the job that Corbett has done, there has been a lot of guys busting tail for a long time, and I will say, you go over there to that job site, there's nobody sitting on their hands, and they have been faithful, they have been very, very good. I am honored to be working with this crew of gentlemen, so, and ladies in terms of TU Parks with the new person in the office. So it's exciting. But other than that, not a whole lot more information to give. We do have, the city of Cleveland is doing some additional road work down through there. They expect to have the paving done before the start of school. So if you are down through there, they're shutting down the entrances to the Pie Center, which I have let all tenants know as well as the construction company know. As of today, those entrances will be shut down. They're cutting those entryways tomorrow, and Black will be out to pour those concrete back on Monday, Tuesday of next week, and then they will be ready to lift the road and get the final coat of asphalt down the road. So they're going to button up their end of it. They're coming through with their side. We're waiting for Cleveland Utilities to pull the poles. As soon as those poles are pulled, then we'll be able to finish the asphalt on the eastern side and get that buttoned up. So it is coming along fast.
One quick comment, the road work that the city is doing, they're actually going to 3-lane that. So Corey's not here tonight, but Ocoee Middle is going to get and the Pie Center will share a stacking lane, a right turn lane for stacking. So Parker Street will not get stopped during drop off and pickup.
Yes, the target, and that was one of the promises I made. I think Terry Kaywood was actually on the commission at that time, Island, when this whole conversation started. And Terry got me out there, and we were standing right outside looking at that road. It was pouring rain, and he said, "You mean to tell me you're going to be able to fix it?" I said, "Terry, I'm going to give it my best shot." And we have worked with the city. There has been partnership made to try to widen that and get as much as we can through there and keep those lanes going and get that turn lane in there to help alleviate some of those traffic issues. I live right around the corner, so I know them well. So any other questions regarding Pie? Yes?
I had breakfast the other day with a group of people, and one of them was a machinist who's moving in from Georgia. He's bought a building downtown.
Okay.
And moving his company in. And he was thrilled when I started, I think Teddy was there too, started talking about, and Mr. Bryson, so, started talking about the Pie Center. And I told him that y'all would be more than willing to show them around.
Yes.
So is there a procedure we go through on that?
Yes.
Do they call you and make an appointment?
They can call Brittany or call central office, call Brittany, call myself, and one of us will be present. TU Parks has not given us release without one of us being present to tour them. So if they'll get in touch with one of us, then we will be happy to tour them at any time.
Well, he was real excited because he had actually done work when we had the vocational break.
Gotcha.
Where he learned what he wanted to do.
Yes.
Okay, and for my benefit, anybody else that may have forgotten, what's an MOU? I know what a release is, but what's an MOU?
So an MOU is a memorandum of understanding, basically laying out what each other's expectations are. It's a non-binding agreement, but it is an agreement that basically says, we expect you to do this, you expect us to do this, and it just puts that in writing so everybody knows where each other is.
Which will hopefully become a lease.
Let me say that differently. The MOU is in lieu of a lease. So if they're taking an entire space on their own, they sign a lease. If they're going to occupy a portion that is Bradley County Schools, for instance, Connect, Bradley County Schools built out that suite. UT Extension is occupying a portion of Bradley County Schools property, so they sign a memorandum of understanding to operate within school property.
Okay.
If they're taking their own space, they're building it out, and the school is independent of it, they sign a standard lease.
Correct.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. And lastly, welcome to the new school board members, and if you at any point in time have any questions about the project or want to come tour, please let us know.
Sure. I'd love to come by and take another look at it. I did have one question just to try to catch up if I may.
Yes.
On the ones the tenants are doing their own building.
Yes.
Does that affect the deadline for the opening in any way? Or
So
are
that
they
will
held
not-
to a deadline of any kind?
They're not held to a deadline other than their lease, once they, there's certain components of the lease that they're held to, but they're not held to a calendar deadline to be open by October when we're opening. They're kind of on their own, obviously their own building, their own architect, their own submission to state fire marshal if necessary, all their own stuff. We're not getting into all that. It will not affect our deadline as far as the grand opening of the STEM school, Conclave, Connect, Compass, Goal, all the school system spaces, medium heavy truck technology, which by the way is also being framed out, and they've got the pit cut out for the big 18-wheelers. It's pretty sweet. So that's just for your information. Any other questions, Mr. Dave?
Thanks so much.
Wonderful.
Any more questions? All right, if not, the next item is the fee schedule for PI. Malcolm?
So Brittany, they have that in their packet. Brittany's amazing. And Brittany has really been working on this extensively with community members and community partners. And you'll notice that fee schedule is in there. Basically, that fee schedule is such for use of spaces. You'll also see the occupancy standards there, so how many people can occupy that space. Obviously, we promised the community that ultimately the Pi Center would be a self-sustaining facility. And so with that in mind, we do plan to generate revenue on that site. Now, the comptroller's office has weighed in, and that revenue has to stay on site to go back into the Pi Center, into the equipment, into the programming, into those things. So with that said, this fee structure is set with different areas at the Pi Center that can be leased by the community for different events. There is a calendar on the Pi Center website that people are already beginning to book on. And so this will be the fee schedule set forth. This fee schedule does not include tables and chairs and those kind of things. Those folks are still going to have to work with an outside vendor to bring in those kind of things at this point in time. We do anticipate down the road that as we generate revenue through the Pi Center, there will be possibilities to begin to purchase those things and make that process easier. But at this point in time, this is strictly the fee for use, as well as cleanup and those kind of things, the janitorial side of it, for those spaces at Pi. Any questions?
One question is, where at the bottom where it says core and cafe meal can be combined for $800 plus the cost of a school nutrition employee, does that mean that a school nutrition employee will be present every time?
Yes.
Correct.
Because if they're using our cafeterias and that property, we do have to have a school nutrition employee.
Present.
Does anyone have any questions?
And that would just be in the cafe, Amanda, not in our catering kitchens per se, just in that cafe area. That's a school.
In the core, in the STEM school area that we have day in, day out school nutrition for our students that are flowing in and out of that campus, that would be for that section specifically.
Josh, how does AV relate to that?
AV, so currently AV in the Conclave is not in. We do have the plug-and-play system, and as we build out AV down the road, that may be something we look at in future years with donations or partnerships. But the way we designed, and Corbett can speak further to this, but we basically have a system that can flip so somebody can come and plug their own equipment in and set up their own equipment. And as we install our AV, we can flip, and that's protected so nobody can mess with that stuff. And Scott Webb's been
But
involved.
at that point, there would be an add-on we would have add-ons to the usage agreement that you all approved in the last board meeting. So once we would get tables, chairs, and other equipment, those would be add-ons to that cost.
To this
Right.
cost.
I just, we're just aware that AV cost is not going down.
Correct.
And
And so because we don't have that AV currently, they can rent that AV, plug it to the system and utilize that, so that doesn't inhibit their use of the space if they would still like to.
We brought in 2 different production companies that do set up and tear down for temporary, for events, and kind of got their wish list. So there's 8 Cat 6 cables that go from the backstage area to the production booth that are plug and play. There's a 200 amp cam locker, which is a piece of equipment that they can plug in their LED wall amps and all that. There's outlets on stage, lighting. So we've made it as easy as possible. Outlets in the ceiling and rigging available for them to hang speakers. So we've made it as easy as possible, and they've both kind of given their blessing.
I just think, when you do provide that, guys, it's a cost for them that you could charge.
Yes.
for that.
Yes.
It's huge, and it's effective and turnkey for an event that
Yes.
you can have. The price of that could enhance what we're doing.
Yes. Well, and down the road, having the AV students help in that process as well, the training, all the above. And that is something we do plan to ultimately attain, Mr. Lovingood, for sure. So that we are thinking in that direction. We are working to try to get partnership to look at the funding of that aspect of it. So, yes, sir.
Again, just trying to catch up. but
No problem.
On the rental, is this open to pretty well anybody in the community that wanted to rent that?
So the way it's set up, it is open to community members to touch base. We are trying to provide as many variations of training as possible. So in some cases, you may already have some training going on in a particular area. So if somebody else is trying to replicate that, that becomes not a good fit. But with that said, from the work-based learning side, we do have 9 spaces still available that can be rented. With that said, there are some requirements from the school system's end. You must work with students, hire students, work with students, and be in the process of training students to make this partnership happen.
I'm sorry, I may have misspoken the question. It was more to do with the rental rate, with the conclave or the gym. Is that open to rent for anybody in the community?
Nancy, Madam Chairman. Yes, it is a community event, but we have a whole lease process that was agreement, not lease, but rental process agreement that they would have to meet all the criteria in that, and it includes an insurance policy and some other things. So it is open, but they would have to meet that criteria.
That criteria. Do we have a copy of that criteria?
That was in the last
We
board
didn't
meeting.
The usage agreement was presented last.
Yeah.
And then, would that be available for rent at the same time that students were there? I apologize, but I haven't seen.
Yeah, so the conclave would be available to rent while students are on that campus. But the way that campus is set up, and when we get the chance to walk it, see it, know it, learn it, you'll understand that students or people that are coming into the conclave don't really have access into the STEM Center, don't have access into Goal Academy. Everything is very strategically locked. You enter from outside, leave from outside. You don't navigate through it throughout the interiors of the building. So that is yes.
Okay.
With that said, we've been strategic about that. Yes, sir.
I have a question, if I may be getting ahead.
You're
of
fine.
everything, but how does this compare, because I know that there are outside groups that, they're at Walker Valley for meetings and for dinners, and they're at Oklahoma Middle, they're at Cleveland High School, I'm sure they're at Bradley. How does this compare with what the schools do? I mean, do the schools charge, or do they charge for the cleanup? What do they do? Or is that individual schools?
Well, no. A couple of years ago, the board approved a usage agreement, and so they would be charged according to that usage agreement. Most of the time, if at the school level, really. Most of the time at the schools, if it's a nonprofit, the schools work with them. But in that usage agreement, in your board policies, that's what they go by, at the school level.
So
there's it's very different. This is a very large event center.
Okay. So, right.
Further questions?
Any more questions? If not, do I have a motion for us to approve the fee schedule for PAC?
I'm not going to approve.
I have a motion and a second by Mrs. Kaysen. Any more discussions?
Just one question. Ms. Betty, did that answer your question?
I think so.
The fee structure is different.
Okay. Yes, I was just curious when you go with outside and people are coming in, and I know sometimes there are outside groups that have not paid to have a particular meeting in a school or whatever, so I just didn't know about that.
And it does depend on which outside group it is.
Okay. Yeah, that is.
I look forward to it.
Good to go whenever you're ready.
All right, if no more discussions, all in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you. Next item on the agenda is the Hopewell project update.
I would like to tell Ms. Cannon thank you for her work on that because she has been working on that for several months. So I just wanted you guys to be fully aware that has been something she has worked with community partners and she has been grilling over for a long time to get it to this point. So I just want to give honor where honor is due on her behalf. So update on Hopewell, I guess, is next. I've been out there a lot today. They are rocking and rolling. Wright Brothers has hit the ground doing what Wright Brothers does. And if you drive out there as of tonight, you will see that 4-lane is cut. They have tucked it in and topsoil is going in on the grassed areas and they'll be blowing and going with seed and straw probably first of next week. The plan is to have rock on site next week. Sandra Knight is out of town. And she's the one that's lining up the rock hall. So I'm trying and hoping and praying that we get that pulled together. But they will also be putting the drain structure in next week. And the structures along the ditch line down through there. Sandra's team did deliver the pipe and that's sitting on site. So things are going really well. The one thing I would ask, and I don't know, Dr. Cash, if this would be the right time, but for the board to consider granting Dr. Cash and the board chair with an executive authority. We have run into an issue and it just got us at the very last cut coming back into the school. I've got the pump station that carries all the sewer from Volunteer Electric as well as the fire hall happened to be right in the smack dab middle and we couldn't find it anywhere. It was buried, but as we begin to cut, we did not damage any of it. Correct, Mr. McKay? How those dirt guys did not damage it, I'm just gonna say they're good, because they did not know it was there. And so they got very fortunate, but we're gonna have to lower that and relocate a portion of that. I don't know what that cost is gonna be yet. I do know that being through many construction projects now, we built some allowances to make sure that that would be covered within budget. With that said, as soon as I get that cost back, then I would like to be able to share that, but we are on a timeline. If I have to wait until a July board meeting, we're not gonna have the park stacking lanes in prepared for school to start back. So that's causing me twitching because TDOT is shutting the right turn lane down. So I would just request that.
Madam Chairman, we don't know what it would be, but I am requesting a motion for executive approval when this comes through with the understanding that we would send all of the cost and everything out to the board members, and if they had questions, we would answer those questions. And then when we have the meeting in August, it would come back to your consent agenda for everybody to see that you would get that prior to. But I really don't want to slow this project down, and so I am requesting requesting a motion for executive order privilege on this Hopewell project for this
Specific
request.
And I so moved.
Thank you.
All right, do I have a second? Have a second. Any discussions?
I have one question. Would
Yes.
this be something that's put out for bid?
So this is in Wright Brothers' contract. They're the contractor on this job. It will probably come back to us in a form of a change order because they did not price this. How they go about pricing that, they're the contractor of record, is really in their scope. So that's something that I'm kind of outside of. Once we decided Wright Brothers, that went to bid on which contractor we selected, but once that contractor selected, it's within their scope to fix any unknowns or things that they do not do. Correct. They have guys that are going to, I know they brought 2 or 3 different folks out while I was out there today, just looking at it, looking at timing, how quick they can get it done, and they're getting pricing back. The other thing, okay, sorry.
So we've got a motion and a second. I will assure everyone that nothing will be signed until every board member has been contacted and feel comfortable moving forward with the executive order, if that's what the board so chooses to do. Do we have any other questions for Mr. Page?
How come they didn't know it was our? That's pretty good.
Well, so a couple of things. When you go out, and Chuck can tell you, we've been all over that property.
No, I don't mean us, I mean the people sold it to us.
It's
Well-
plastic line, it wasn't our property, and we don't have prints, and they don't have prints.
I called Cleveland Utilities for prints. They said they have no prints. I called Volunteer Electric. They said call Cleveland Utilities. I called the fire hall. They said they don't know. Long story short, there were no prints anywhere, and one call would not pick it up because it's PVC. And so it was all installed before we purchased that land.
Oh, I agree with you.
So
It wasn't our problem.
it was one of those things that I'm crossing my fingers and hoping that we stay clean. If you know what I mean. And we're almost there. The dirt's about finished cutting. That's the only thing that we found that we didn't know. So that's a good day.
Since we're not having a July meeting, our next meeting will be in August.
Correct.
Which is another reason they need to. So if we don't have any more discussions, all in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes.
Dr. Cash, is now a good time to bring up the second component of that, or should that be added to the agenda on the land with the fire hall conversation?
Next agenda.
Next agenda, okay.
The next item, are you through with that one?
So what?
We need to move on.
Yes, well, I'm just trying to,
Trying to move you on.
Are you done with that?
I am done with Hopewell.
Okay, thank you.
She got a ball game.
It's over. The next item, you're still up here, so.
Yes.
Bradley Central and Walker Valley Tennis Court update.
So both of those tennis courts pretty much are buttoned up. We have, the fencing is all up at both schools. The painting and the surfacing, I'm sorry, not painting, but the surfacing of both of those tennis courts has been complete. I was at Walker Valley yesterday taking photos. I've been at Bradley a lot over the last couple of weeks. We do have a little bit of button up to do at Bradley where we've had some erosion. Erosion Solutions is set to come in starting first of the week, and I have been carrying topsoil all week from the Bradley football field that we tucked away at Chuck's place. We've been bringing that topsoil that's good dirt back in, and we're going to be tucking the tennis court in, getting the erosion all stacked in appropriately, and that will be beginning next week. There may be a little bit of some of that at Walker Valley we might need to do down the road as well, as I was looking and walking today. But those courts are looking good. Windscreens are supposed to be in 7 to 10 business days, and that was 2 days ago. And they are, once the windscreens come in, they will also be coming up to paint the logos in the said places the schools would like those to be painted. So tennis courts really are looking nice. From once we started to where we are today, they have come a long way. So questions on the tennis courts? They picked the colors that they picked, correct.
None of them were lavender. None of them were lavender.
There was some purple at Bradley Central. I'm just kidding.
You feel okay about the erosion?
I feel okay about the erosion once we get done what we're getting ready to do this upcoming week. So the erosion, once I get topsoil back in there that we're hauling down and stacking right now, then we will have something that will take that seed and be able to really, really go with it.
I was at both courts today, and they look really good. But I'm still concerned about the issue at Bradley Central.
And,
Understand.
yeah, I think, so the game plan forward, obviously, we're in the hottest time of the year right now. This is not a good time to be dealing with this stuff. With that said, the game plan forward is we're gonna clean out those drains and then topsoil places that have washed pretty good. And then from there, we're gonna mat all that out there. And hopefully that matting will hold up and begin to grow seed if we can get some rain. But at least it tucks it away for the summer. And then I think once we get into fall, we get a rainy season, we see what's coming up. I've talked with Patrick, if we need to come back and sod a few places or look at a few other places, then that's, but we looked at even sodding this stuff. But it's like I talked to Patrick and Chuck, we've all looked at it. We don't know what the rain's gonna do, and you go spend $7,000 or $8,000 in sod right now, and it's just gonna burn slam up because you don't have enough water to put on it. And I hate to waste that. So I think this is the best game plan forward to stabilize, and then from there, we'll react if we need to.
Community tennis season, 100 years ago when I played it then.
The tennis season is spring. It's a spring sport.
So we hopefully will be playing home and away matches on our courts.
100%. I know that Bradley Central is having tennis camp up here this week.
Great.
So they're using those courts every morning.
Super.
And also, I believe that Lake Forest Middle School will be using Bradley in the fall. The middle school play in the fall.
It's awesome.
Yes. Any other questions for Mr. Page?
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, the next item is the annual agenda and calendar. And that is in your packet of things, which just basically itemizes all of our board meetings for next year, and also lists the TSBA events that we attend throughout the year. So, is there any questions on the calendar?
I have a comment. So, when we went through here and scheduled these days, we did the second Thursday of each month. We might want to select a different day for November because the board members will not be here.
So, we're at the leaders.
Yes, you'll have a leadership conference and annual convention. So I would like to schedule for y'all to select another day to do the November board meeting.
Okay, so my suggestion would be the 3rd.
Okay?
Since we're gonna be getting into Thanksgiving.
Okay.
Does anyone have an issue with that?
So the first Thursday in November, November 3rd.
Does anyone have an issue with November 3rd?
That's me.
So we'll tentatively, are you good with that, Dr. Cash? Okay, so we will move the November meeting to November the 3rd. All right, is there any other dates that we need to look at? Ms. Brenda? Okay. All right.
This, we don't vote on this, we just have it voted on.
Now, you do that.
Oh, we do not, okay. This is a part of Board of Distinction, so I don't know if I should bring this up at the end of the meeting but I was looking at our plaques, and Patty and I, and Lorraine are going to work on this. But the one thing I think that we lack is having board members from other school districts to come in and evaluate the board. So I think that's the only thing we lack. I don't know, with a new chairman and new board members, if we want to try to do that in August, or would it be better after, because in September you have people that are sworn in. I don't know, and you may want to just put that, maybe that should be at the end to discuss a meeting for us to be evaluated. I don't know.
Well,
How do you guys feel?
I would recommend the October date.
Like an October meeting? Okay.
We can just, we don't necessarily have to put that on this calendar. We
No,
can just add
no.
that. Okay. All right. We'll get some dates. Okay. changing the November date to November the 3rd.
I make a motion to approve.
I second.
Got a motion and a second. Any more discussions? If not, all in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes. The next item is the appointment to the County Commission's Ad Hoc Committee on Population and Growth for the district. The Education Committee for the County Commission has formed an ad hoc committee to study the population growth for Bradley County. And the County Commission has requested that we appoint a couple of board members to serve on that committee. So I would like to appoint Ms. Nancy Kaysen and Josh Taylor to the ad hoc committee, if you two will be willing to serve in that capacity.
Thank you.
Okay.
Certainly.
Perfect. Dr. Cash will report that to the County Commission, and once they get a date for their meeting, she'll be in touch with you, and then you guys can go to that and report back to the board.
Madam Chairman, may I speak? And this is, I know this is out of order, but just a question for Commissioner Slater. I believe that, and my memory is, you're on that committee, right? Was there a second person on that committee? I think it's.
It's all the education committee.
No, well, not the ad hoc committee. So in that meeting, you were appointed, right? Yeah, all right, thank you. So I know that Ms. Slater is one of them that will be working with y'all.
All right, the next item on the agenda is policy review, first reading. You baby.
Now I'm going to take even longer. Okay, the very first policy is policy 1.102, board members. The title has changed. The policy has changed to reflect earlier in the spring the change in law regarding residents of board members. So my motion is to update policy 1.102 to reflect change in Tennessee law regarding qualifications of school board members.
Do we want to approve these all at one time in one motion, or do we need to do each one of them separately?
This is something we need to talk about. Some of these, I recommend that we not do it this time, but I would like to see that in the future, because some of these are new, and I think that we need to point that out.
Okay.
So, but I do like that idea.
All right, so we make that motion?
We do too.
So do you want to make that motion?
Yes, that's my motion, is to update policy 1.102 to reflect change in Tennessee law regarding qualifications of school board members.
All right, do I have a second?
Second.
All right, do we have any discussions? If not, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes.
The next policy is 3.205, security. It is to replace Bradley County policy with TSBA updated model policy on security, reflecting changes to law enforcement services and cyber security.
Is that in the form of a motion? All right, do I have a second?
Second.
A second by Ms. Tyson. Any discussions on policy 3.205?
And this is a new policy.
It is not a new policy, but there were so many differences when TSBA updated it that my recommendation was just to replace our policy with their model policy because of the law enforcement services and cybersecurity.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes.
The next policy is 3.211, new project planning. My motion is to add policy 3.211, as Bradley County does not currently have these revised regulations for facilities. And if you have to get a second, then I can just briefly read the policy if you want me to, or I won't read the whole thing.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Ms. Cason. Discussions?
It talks about the selection of an architect, the selection of an engineer, site selection, and building accessibility. And each time it does go back to the board for approval, but we do not have this policy. So that's why I think that you need to be made aware of this, since we do have a lot of things going on. And Dr. Cash, do you have anything to add about this policy?
The only thing I would add is, I'm not sure why we did not have this policy. We follow all of the rules and regulations with bids and architects and contractors and engineers.
So I am not sure either, but we're going to have it now. So that's my motion, is to add policy 3.211, as Bradley County does not currently have these revised regulations for facilities.
Okay, we already have a motion and a second. Is there any more discussions on this policy? If not, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes.
The next policy is 3.220, access to private facilities. And it is a very brief policy. Students, employees, or teachers may request reasonable accommodations if they desire greater privacy when using multi-occupancy restrooms or changing facilities located in the school buildings, or when using multi-occupancy sleeping quarters while attending a school-sponsored activities. These requests will go to the principal. Appeals, there's an appeal process, and the director of schools shall develop an administrative procedure on access to private facilities. So my motion is to add policy 3.220, as Bradley County does not currently have this policy regarding accommodations.
I have a motion. Do I have a second? A second by Dr. Lovington. Any discussions? If not, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
The next policy is 4.204, summer instructional programs. The motion is to replace Bradley County policy with TSBA updated model policy on summer programs, reflecting changes to programming and attendance.
Is that in the form of a motion, Ms.
Yes.
Bates? All right, do I have a second?
Second. And I would like to ask Dr. Cash.
Yeah, there's, just looking at this, and I think it was just an error on our part. When you're looking at the summer instructional program, because of the mandated summer camps now, that was the result of this. And what it requires us to do is to report to the board with those criteria that courses offer transportation, that list. We talked and concerned, and it is not in here, so I would like to make a correction on that, that we would present that every year to the board in May. It would be in May. And then on the next page, page 2 of 1, attendance requirements, property students as defined by state law will be our target to attend summer schools. Because we actually target those priority students, which are going to be your students who are not performing well, and in order to get funding, you have to have a certain percentage that are free and reduced. So we target those kids and offer it first to them, but we don't require. So it would be priority students as defined by state law will be first priority to attend summer camps.
And, TSBA and the law, of course, gives you some flexibility with this. So the date for presenting summer programming, I think I have here, it's line 16, so that would be in May.
Yes, ma'am. At your May board meeting.
Okay.
Summer school starts in June. And then on page 2, priority students as defined by state law shall be the first priority to attend summer programs. in your local attendance requirements, we have an attendance policy. So my recommendations in that part is to remove that from this, and we would go back to our regular attendance policy.
So do we need to have a substitute motion?
Yeah, you would have to have a substitute motion to fill those in.
Thank you. Okay. Now then,
And just run, this is just our first reading, so it comes back around again.
Then to replace Bradley County policy with TSBA updated model policy on summer programs, reflecting the changes of, reflecting the addition of priority students, local attendance requirements, and date for presenting to the board.
Yes.
Did I get all three of them?
So Ms. Beatty has given a substitute motion, adding the changes addressed by Dr. Cash. Do I have a second?
Second.
Have a second by Ms. Kaysen. Is there any more questions or discussions? If not, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes.
The next policy is 4.205, enrollment in advanced courses. And this is to replace Bradley County policy with TSBA updated model policy on advanced courses reflecting changes to standards and notification. And I would like for Dr. Cash to respond to that.
4.205.
4.205.
In 4.205, this sets out just sets out for more access for students, but it would go into enroll in these courses, students shall meet the following criteria: honors classes, dual credit, English cert, dual enrollment, advanced placement. We no longer have Cambridge. We do have college level programs, and we do not have baccalaureate. If it pleases the board, at this time, I would like to defer this policy until August, so that I could have those actually inserted for you, so it would be clear. Right now, they are in procedures, but TSBA is requesting the end of the policy, and I believe when they revamped the legislation, that was a requirement. So I would like to request that this be removed and put on the August agenda for review.
Then I make a motion to remove policy 4.205 and reevaluate in August 2022.
All right, I've got a motion to defer this policy until August. Do I have a second? Second. Got a second. Any objections or discussions? If not, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes.
The next policy is, I'm getting out of order a little bit for a reason, but the next policy is 4.213, family life education. The motion is to add 4.213 as Bradley County does not currently have these requirements in board policy.
Okay, I've got a motion by Mrs. Beatty. Do I have a second? I've got a second. Are there any questions or discussions on policy 4.213?
Yes, Madam Chairman, in our family life education, as you read through this, there are some requirements. We currently offer this through our health and wellness at both the middle school and the high school, and On Point comes in and directs these classes and works with these classes. So we are already in compliance, but it is an outside source that comes in, but they do it through our health and wellness classes.
Would that impact the policy? No, to change, we're okay with the motion then?
We're perfectly fine with the motion. I just wanted you to know that we already have that in practice, and, but it is with on-site.
Any more questions? If not, all in favor say aye.
Aye. next one is 4.600, grading systems. The motion is to accept TSBA recommended changes regarding letter grade equivalents to reflect the State Board of Education grading schedule.
Okay, so I have a motion, on grading systems, 4.600. Do I have a second? Second. I have a second by Ms. Kaysen. Discussions, Dr. Kay.
Within the State Board of Education, they have adopted a new grading system, changing it from a 93 to 100 to back to a 10-point scale, which is that A is 90 to 100, B would be 80 to 89, C 70 to 79, D 60 to 69, and an F 0 to 59. And in doing this, I spoke to our administrative staff, and they're all in agreement to go with this statewide grading system. And the purpose behind this is it lines up with the Hope Scholarship and the Tennessee Promise for students, as well as it supports our credit recovery. If we don't make the change and we stay with our 93 to 100, it affects credit recovery to where those students would only be allowed to earn a 70 when they went through credit recovery. This policy, changing to the 10-point scale, is in line with the State Board of Education and lines up with both credit recovery and the Tennessee Promise and Hope Scholarship.
Well, I think that a lot of it goes on into that.
It makes sense because it lines up with everything
Yeah.
else.
Madam Chairman, I think just, Mr. Taylor.
So the question I had is, that you said with credit recovery, you'll move it from a 70, which is the highest they can have now.
No, now, it depends on where they are. If we left it at a 93 to 100, which is what it is now, my credit recovery states the highest they could get was a 70. Currently, that's not the way it is. They have to score within a certain range to have credit recovery, but they can make higher than a 70. They can make higher than a 2.
I just agree with Dr. Katz, this
That
lines
makes
up.
sense.
It would be, I think, crazy for us to be unaligned with everything else.
Well, our kids will compete against kids at others because they had A's and they didn't.
Right. It lines our kids up to compete with the rest of the state.
We have a more rigorous
Yeah.
scale is what we have.
But I do want, I do.
When it's connected to all of these other
Yeah.
things.
Yeah.
There's a lot of money involved.
Yeah, there's a lot of money involved for our students and our kids. Also, at the college level, they are on a 10-point scale.
I'll have a son that will appreciate this.
I have a granddaughter that will appreciate it.
Because he's required to make A's. All right, so we have a motion and a second on policies 4.600. If there are no more discussions, all in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes.
The last policy is 4.210, credit recovery, and Dr. Cash did address this. So the motion is to accept TSBA recommended changes, which are minor, as Bradley County will be following the state board grading scale as reflected in 4.600.
I have a motion, do I have a second?
Second.
I've got a second. Any discussions on this policy? If not, all in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes. Is that all, Ms. Betty?
That is it.
Okay, the next item is announcements. Ms. Reckner has set up a new board photo to be taken before our August board meeting. We will not have a July board meeting, as the board will be attending the TSBA Summer Law Institute in Gatlinburg, Tennessee on July the 22nd and 23rd.